So this is Titan Attachments Economy Grapple, 48-inch, made out of a half-inch steel. You have greasable joints up here, one here, one here. And she weighs about, I don't know, a little over 400 pounds. I could fit a 5-footer on this tractor. It's a Kubota B2601. But they had a killer sale on Black Friday last year, so that's when I scooped it up. So they had a good sale on the 48-inch. They didn't have one on the 60-inch. And I'm really happy I went with the 48-inch because of the weight concern. This thing, even with the 48-inch, it's really, really hoppy when I'm driving around through my yard. When I hit bumps and stuff, I can really feel it tipping forward. So I would suggest sizing down from your regular bucket. If you're set to take a 60-inch, go for a 48-inch. If you're set to take a 72-inch, go for a 60-inch. But yeah, so I use this thing a lot for cleaning up wood. I have a lot of down trees on the property. And what I normally do is along my trail, I make a bunch of little piles. And I'll hand load them into this and then drive it down and then dump it onto a burn pile. If it's somewhere I can get access to, I'll just drive in, I stick my, I come in at a high angle, I get the lower edges underneath the wood, close down on top of it, pick it up, drive away. So I'm going to drive around and pick up some stuff around the yard, show you what it's good at, what it's not so good at. I find rocks, it's really not very good at rocks. You can do it, but it's too hard. But yeah, I'll try to pick up some things around the yard and show you what it can do. So this is what I use the Grapple for mostly. This was a really poorly made wood shed that came with the house when we first bought it. So I demoed this thing a couple weeks ago. But generally, I end up with a lot of scrap wood, and I also have a lot of piles of down trees and sticks and things like that. So I'll just kind of pull alongside them and I'll hand load them. Unfortunately, because of the slope of the property, I can't drive up to a lot of these piles and really utilize the Grapple like I should. But you'll see that it's a bit slower, but it works fine here. Definitely works a lot better than a regular bucket would because as you can see, you can clamp down with the Grapple and drive around. I don't have anything falling out of a bucket, and most of these boards are much longer than my bucket would be anyway, so they wouldn't even fit. You can see some of those piles on the right. So generally what I'll do is I'll stop here and I'll just throw a bunch of sticks onto it. And we're going to drive on down to my burn pile here. And once we get down here, I'll show you how this works in a couple different things. So I'll throw that plywood down, and I have some firewood over here. I'll drive up to the firewood and try to pick this up. You'll see it really does not work well at all on firewood. Firewood, generally stove-cut firewood, is going to be too short for the Grapple, so it just fits in between the tines and it all falls out. So this is essentially useless on firewood. Random sticks and things like that, it works great on. You just kind of get underneath it and drive in hard, and then tip back once you gain some purchase on it, and you can pick up giant piles of sticks. It works very well on that. Finally, I'm going to drive around and try to grab a stone. This thing's probably, I don't know, 150, 200 pounds. And what I like to do is try to pinch it with the upper tines, and then you just lean as far back as you can and then open up again and get it to fall into the basket, if you will. But there you go. I mean, stones are difficult with this, but it is definitely doable. They do make grapples that are optimized for stones. The tines are much closer together, so smaller stones can fit in it, and I suppose smaller cut firewood can fit in too, but those are going to be much heavier. They're also much more expensive. This is I think really the cheapest model the Titan sells. It's like $1,500, something like that. So let's pull back up into the garage and then we'll take a look at this up close. Alright, now that we're back up in the shop, I can show you the Grapple up close. As you can see, all the tines here are a half-inch thick. So she's pretty hefty. According to the nameplate, it rings right in at 400 pounds. This one's single ram. There's 4 grease points. I said 2 earlier, but that's just because I'm dumb. 1, 2, 3, 4. When I first got it in, it was dry as a bone, so when I'd open it and close it, it would scream at me. Yeah, when I ordered it, it took probably 5 weeks to get here. And they showed up in an Estes big rig with a lift gate. And I live on a really hilly road, and it's like a horseshoe. It's really tight, so I was surprised the guy was able to get in. But yeah, he pulled it right up to the driveway and unloaded it with the tailgate or with the lift gate, and brought it right in the driveway with a pallet jack. So for the $1,500 or so that I paid for it, I think it's a little bit more now, but for the money, this is a really good buy. It's infinitely handy. It's great if you have a lot of down trees, or if you're going to be felling a lot of trees, or if you have a lot of sticks to clean up. The other thing I do a lot with it is, since I do woodworking, if I have a lot of junk wood and it's too big to fit in my bucket, like anything that's too long to fit in the bucket, you have open ends here, so you can stick a 6-foot long board in. You could stick in, like I end up with a lot of small pieces, narrow pieces of plywood that are long, and I would normally have to cut them down to get them in the bucket to drive all the way down. This thing, I can just hand load them onto here and then drive everything down. I wait until I get a big pile and then I bring it all at once. Or I put I have a barrel for my dust collector. Put the barrel right on its side in here, and then I drive it down. It's if you have a third function kit, or even if you don't have a third function kit, go out and buy one. These are so handy. You really can't beat a Grapple. Hope that helps. If you have any questions about grapples or any other attachments you might have seen around here, let me know. I'll answer it any way I can.